we use it sometimes
Hmm.
because I think that approach is very. I think what is interesting in the idea of the reflecting team is this idea of create a lot of room for listening. Because in
Yeah.
the reflecting team, there is this fact that when the team is listening to the therapy, they are forbidden to talk to each other, which is something that otherwise you do a lot. When you are in the observation room, sometimes you start to exchange ideas with your colleagues, and you don't properly listen.
Hmm.
Where when you don't properly listen, you don't properly watch. Whereas in the reflecting team, you have to stay quiet all the time, and so you listen better, you watch people better, and then when the team members talk between themselves, the family and the therapist too, they have to listen. So there is this mutual balance.
Yeah.
We thought the problem was that if you manage to put on a good reflecting team, it works a lot, but it's not so easy to put on.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
tried to create a variation of that that is simpler for us. Since with families we often work as co-therapists, so you have two therapists in the room. What we do is that times we create a micro reflecting team in the room. So what we do is at a certain point, we look at each other, and we see there is something that we want to reflect upon. So we say to the family, "Can you please listen to us? 2 minutes.
Mhm.
We have to exchange our ideas, and we start to talk among ourselves, and we make comments about what we are observing in the session. And so
Yeah.
we created the space for the reflecting team, for a very 3 minutes, not more than that, five
Yeah.
minutes.
Mhm.
But we create a different dimension because they can see us reflecting about our ideas, about our hypotheses, about our feeling. I can ask to the other, how do you feel about what's happening
Yeah.
today? Because I feel slightly uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
and and of course, it's a strange experience for the family because
Hmm.
usually the therapists are not talking among themselves, but it works because it makes the conversation progress. So we think, and so we try to keep the, let's say, the spirit, the basic idea of the reflecting team, but modifying it for
Hmm.
our
Yeah.
ways of working. And it works pretty well, actually.
I also use the same technique in session room
Hmm.
with my colleagues.
Oh, so,
Yeah. Well, with graduate students sometimes.
well, yes, it's not just a second because there is a lot of noise. I have to shut a window. Oh, much better. Sorry. Um, yes, yeah, and so I think it's since we arrived at working in this way and from very different positions and very different countries and cultures, it means that there is something in the air, so to speak, and I think it has something to do with the evolution of the position of the therapist.
Mhm.
I think that I remember when I started to be trained, the figure of the master therapist was
Oh,
something
yes.
that you look at, and so because so the idea was the therapist is this very
Yeah,
important
yes.
person,
Yeah.
where and so it was possible to have all these ways of working with
Mm.
teams that are very solemn. But today, I think people want people that the client want us to be on the level, not exactly on the level, but not so distant in terms
Yeah,
of power.
yes.
In terms
Yes.
and
Yes.
so I think these ways keep us closer to the experience of the client. And so I think there is an evolution, everywhere, more or less,
Mm.
and this leads us to think, okay, how can go with this evolution? And I think this is what we try to do. So interesting. It's very interesting.